Welcome back to the H&S podcast, everyone. I'm Shaun. As always, I've got Henry with me. Say hello.
Hello.
Today, we'll be going through a fair few things, some that we missed last week, including the James Fisher-Harris and Sunia Taruva contracts. We will also be going through our predictions in the preseason, seeing how they're tracking, holding ourselves accountable. Obviously, big news out of Souths, Jason Demetrio not going to be with the club anymore. And we'll see what else pops into our heads as we go. First on, we'll talk about Penrith. Bit of old news, but still good to get your thoughts on it, Henry. James Fisher-Harris, Sunia Taruva leaving. What do you think it means for Penrith, and what do you think it means for the clubs they're joining? So the Warriors for Fisher-Harris and the Tigers for Taruva.
I'll go to River first before Fisher because I feel like Fisher's a bit bigger one to talk about. Taruva is the loss for them. I think Taruva is such a good back for them where he can play on the wing but also is a very versatile fullback as well. And he's proven that he can play fullback. Though when it comes to being a loss for the Panthers, sorry, I was about to say Roosters, but for the Panthers, I don't think it is a massive loss for them. They've got someone that's already filling that role, and he played last week. I at least saw a part of that game and watched the way that Alamotti played. Hopefully, I pronounced his name properly. And yeah, you could already see that Penrith already have a success line lined up for that, and their production of players is always great, even though that was a purchase. And yeah, for the Tigers, I think it's massive. They need someone like Taruva, I think, because they have someone like Buller. I think Taruva can be that player that could fill in as fullback, providing some time for someone like Buller, who I think he's kind of. I'm not too sure about your opinion, but I feel like he's kind of shied away this season. I think there's just been a lot of pressure on him to try and perform, and Tigers have been doing well, and it's not that he hasn't been doing well. It's just I feel like he can't develop certain skills. When I say certain skills, just being more involved in the attack. I think it's a little bit harder doing it um, in the NRL level versus doing it in first grade. So I think it's about allowing some room for him to develop, but also you can see it with the Tigers. They do need to bolster their backline a little bit.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to get at, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Jareem is doing a lot of the basic stuff at the moment, which is doing really well. But when Taruva comes in, he can sort of take over some of those runs, some of that work, some of the responsibility, the onus when it comes into catching the ball, defensive positioning. He needs a lot less management in that sort of stuff. He can sort of do his own thing, which will free up Buller to, if Sunia takes a hit up, that frees up Buller to play off the back of that instead of taking the hit up himself. He's been a really good support player, really good yardage player this year. But he's not showing that spark that he showed when he first came into grade. I don't know if that's what you meant. That's what I think, at least, when it comes to Sunia coming to the club. The other thing about it is they didn't pay overs for him. I think we're really seeing the impact Shane Richardson is having on the club. And when we get to JD, I'll mention a few things that the CEO spoke about that gave me some red flags. But I think we're seeing that impact of Shane Richardson really bringing people over, but also at the right price and in positions they need. Sunia is one of the safest wingers in the comp. He does his yardage work really well. A lot of what he does doesn't rely on being in a premiership winning system like with other players. So I think he'll also be a very good player. To get somebody of the caliber of Sunia at under 500k, I think it's a bargain. I would have loved the Knights to have signed him for that price. I would have loved, if you're a Roosters fan, you're probably like, well, Lomax and Sunia should have been coming to us next year, given the losses they've had. So for the Tigers to pull this off, I think it's a really big deal for the club, not just in terms of on the field, but in terms of showing how much they've improved in their recruitment strategies and how they're gonna perform in the market moving forward. So while on field, it's a winger, I think off field as well, it's showing a lot of really good signs. So great signing.
Yeah, I agreed, and especially I didn't really think about that, but especially that Trueva was in talks with the Dragons as well. That could have easily been a bidding war.
Yep.
Yeah, just like you said, they're sticking to their guns and paying. They're not paying overs. Is showing big signs of improvement within recruitment.
Exactly, exactly. And we look at James Fisher Harris. I think, well, in terms of losses, James Fisher Harris, I think, is a bigger loss for Penrith. Like you mentioned with Sunia, there are replacements coming through. Paul Amodi did do well. I'd like to see Oyongi join in on the wing, who is their current New South Wales Cup fullback, is a bit of a gun. There's also the option of putting him to centre or Dane Laurie to centre and then moving Taylor May out to the wing. So, Penrith have probably made the right decision, not paying the extra 150 that they probably would have needed to keep Sunia. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you've got a roster that's tight, I think they need to really make everything count. And Sunia is probably better than the replacements, but he's not. The role he plays can be serviced by somebody who's not as good as him, if that makes sense. So probably good on both fronts for both clubs. James Fisher Harris, I think, is very different. I don't see how Penrith replace James Fisher Harris, even if they have a young gun coming through or somebody they develop. I think they need to go to market to replace James. I don't know about you. For me, what Penrith have lost in the last few years, they've lost a lot of talent, but slowly being chipped away at is the leadership that they've had, and the leadership group that was there setting standards is slowly being chipped away at. James Fisher Harris, Apisai Coruscant are the two big ones that we think about, that I think about when I think of that. And while you can replace talent, I think it's a lot harder to replace the culture of the club and the leadership that the club has. And I don't quite see who in the forward pack is going to step up and take that dominant position. A lot of people will say Isaiah Yeo. I'd argue that he's already doing that. So when, him stepping up isn't actually him doing anything different because he's already a leader of that pack. He needs a bit of support, and I don't know who within the club is going to do that. Liam Henry, Lindsay Smith, Moses Leota, all great players and all good on the field. I think they need that old head in the pack to help Isaiah and to sort of show the boys the way and the kids the way on how they should be training and how they should be preparing. Leo Thompson from the Knights came out and said when he roomed with James Fisher Harris, it changed the way he saw the game. It changed the way he trained. It changed the way he prepared for games. And I think that's the biggest loss for Penrith there.
Oh, for sure. And when you say go to market to find another player, I just wanted to continue that conversation. Who is out there though? Who's in the open market at the moment that Roosters aren't going to be trying to get as well? And us knowing Roosters, not that they'll be paying overs on the cap, they've got paper bags to help lure more players in.
I think Lemieux is the last player to go to the Roosters because they're the Roosters. I think with Lomax not going to the Chooks, going to Parra instead, I think we're seeing a bit more parity come into the market in terms of, the Roosters are a premiership winning club. That's why I'm going there. I think that's gone now. Obviously, the money side of things you mentioned is still there. They still have more money than everyone. But I also think their priorities have now shifted into outside backs, and they're going to try to sort of make do with the forwards they've got.
There's no way there would be though. Oh, sorry, I'd concur because you think about their outside backs. They've they can still keep Toops if they wanted to, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they should.
Oh, well, I don't see why.
First grader, at least. I think if they keep him, he's got to be first drop. I think he's got to play the Michael Jennings role next year. That's just me. I think then if they want to win a comp, Tupou's playing really well, but they're the Roosters. They don't really perform well unless they have a team full of current Origin stars.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah. Well, you still don't have Billy Smith in there.
Yeah.
And he's still been injured.
To put it this way, if Tupou went to Penrith, I'd be like, yeah, Penrith can still win the comp. I think he's a great player, but the Roosters, look at the team now. They're not performing that well.
Yeah, I think it's their forward pack. They need to bolster up a little bit better.
So the way
than
I'd
the
run
back.
their pack would be Collins, Radley, Nat Butcher starting. You've then got Terrell May, Nafahu White coming off the bench, playing pretty well. And I'm sure they've got some sort of. Once you have that sorted, I don't think you then need to go out and buy another peak forward. I think you just need to sort of look to the future and build up your depth so much as whereas Penrith, I think they need to get a peak forward. So that's how I'd run next year, assuming Jared doesn't play on. If Jared plays on, obviously that makes the bench a lot stronger. I'm just going through their roster now to see if I missed anyone that I could start. No, I haven't. So, but I mean, five middles there: Nat Butcher, Lindsay Collins, um, Terrell May, Fahu White, and I forgot who the last one was. Victor Radley. So Spencer Lenu. Oh, I forgot Spencer Lenu. So that's six first grade standard forwards, and in my opinion, they don't need to focus on that. When you look at the backs that they're going to field next year, you've got Dom Young, Billy Smith, who's, let's be honest, has a fair few injuries. And James Tedesco at the back. They're losing Joseph Manu and Joseph Suali'i. I think that's a bigger point of pain for the roster, especially considering as soon as they had an injury this year, they're playing Michael Jennings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's just
I can see it. And I think when you think about it as well, Teddy, who knows if Teddy will even play next year,
he
right?
will. He will. He'll be there. He's a
I,
gunman.
I think, yeah, I think depends, right? You're looking at two more concussions this year, or even one more concussion this year, that can really change things
Yeah.
up.
The thing is, he always comes back within a week from his concussion, so we'll see what happens. And the Roosters aren't afraid to leave players out if they are concussed, so you'd have to
Yeah.
think he's recovering well. But yeah, no, sorry, you're going to say something.
No, let's go back away from the Roosters, back to the Fisher Harris
Yeah.
signing. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I think that is you're yeah, you've hit it right on the head there, the nail on the head there. Um, he plays a big role when it comes to being that leader. Where yes, you have the leadership of Theory and also Yo, but you need that extra, especially seeing Fisher Harris. He seems to be. You can even see it with his body, right? You can see the way he's just built like a absolute brick. He's he's big, he's fast, and he's fit, and that comes down to a lot of preparation. But you see his relationship with the teammates, and I think that plays a big part as well. I'm not saying that Yo doesn't have that same connection, but some people are just naturals at it, and I think Fisher Harris is just one of those people. Similar to what you said, I grew up with a another player that actually played alongside Fisher Harris, and also played alongside Mike Acevo, and he was saying Fisher Harris was without a doubt going to make first grade, and he was and is going to be one of the best forwards that's played the game, and you can already see that, and that was because back then he had strong preparation. He was just skillful, but it was the way he was able to conduct himself with that prep and mentoringship with his teammates around him and lifting up his teammates. When it comes to replacing that, though, my question to you is,
Yeah,
you know,
who's on the market?
who in the market? Who's on the market for it?
I
I
think.
don't see anyone.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But Fisher Harris wasn't on the market either when we were speaking about replacements for Adam Fanua Blake, was he?
Well, Payne Haas, could Payne Haas come?
Payne Haas could come, but I don't. He's a great player and he will do what they need on the field. But again, I think
I don't think they'll pay overs for that.
Lindsay Smith and all that, like all those guys they've got, can fill the meterage role. It's the other side of things
The
that I
leadership.
focus on. So, maybe there's somebody we're not aware of being available, right? Like Fisher Harris wasn't available. We didn't speak about him going to the Warriors to replace Adam Fanua Blake. The talk was Maradani Kore was going to move to the middle, and then all of a sudden they pulled this off. So, I think none of the obvious names that are off contract next year will be the replacement. There was talk, about Stefano Utoikamanu. Again, I don't think they need to replace the talent that's leaving. They need to replace the pedigree and the professionalism that's leaving. So, maybe they pay $400K for an older middle who's going to play 25 to 35 minutes, similar to the role Kurt Capewell and Marty Tapau did for the Broncos. I know Capewell played bigger minutes, but similar to those roles where they just come, they just train hard, and I think you can see it in the Broncos. They're sort of missing Kurt a little bit. Not a lot. They're still playing well, but they are sort of missing Kurt Capewell, and you can see the impact Kurt has already had at the Warriors in improving them, and then when he's not there, the difference in the starch they have on the field. So I think it might be a less prestigious name coming, but a better trainer, which we don't really know much about the best trainers in the league. So it'll be a difficult one to sort of predict, but I think in terms of strategy, I'd just be looking to change it up and to bring in that sort of player. The name, I don't know. That would come down to their recruitment, and I think they've got pretty good recruitment when it comes to those sorts of things, so they should be fine. So yeah, that's where I sit on it. But for the Warriors, it's an amazing sign, right? Like they upgraded losing AFB. I didn't think that would be possible, but they've lost AFB and they've now upgraded to James Fisher Harris. So good on him, and I think that keeps their window to maybe be a premiership threat a little bit wider. I thought with Shaun Johnson aging and with Adam leaving, that this would be the last year that they could be a smoky to win the comp. But with James Fisher Harris coming next year, I think they can still keep building and still keep progressing and keep that window open a little bit longer, and maybe even have a chance to keep it open post Shaun Johnson with the development of the halves they have coming through. If Metcalf and Chanel Harris-Tavita can come along, and if James Fisher Harris is still there and has been, ingraining his sort of starch into that pack, I think there's a lot that the Warriors can do. I think it's a huge signing for them. Bigger than what most people are already giving plaudits for.
Oh, for sure. And I think you're right there. That replacement of AFB to Fisher Harris is big, and I think it's something they need. You see Tohu Harris, he plays a pivotal role, and he's probably one of the biggest, I guess, not game changers, but biggest influence in the team since the comeback of the Warriors last year, along with having Shaun Johnson actually turn up, but especially after his big Achilles injury and trying to get his, I guess, foot in the door of being that first grade mentality and skill level like he was before. I think having Fisher there to assist or support or even elevate Tohu Harris and support him in that leadership role and professionalism, which is what I think the Warriors need, because the Warriors, you can see it in their games the last couple of weeks, they still lack a bit of they lack consistency, which is obvious because you just see them week in, week out. You don't know what kind of Warriors you're getting, but also they're not winning their games convincingly anyway. So they can grind out a few games if they've come back from big deficits, but that shouldn't happen, and I think there needs to be a different mentality, and I think Fisher will be able to instill that early, is that we hit them hard, we hit them in the face straight away, and we make sure that we don't back down. And similar to how
I think like you mentioned, when he supports Tohu, it's a mirror of what happens at Penrith, right? Like you've got Isaiah and Fisher, whereas the Warriors have Tohu and Hu, right? Like so it's. Well, once you put... And I know Adam Fanua-Blake is a big player, but I don't think he has that same leadership quality or to the same extent as James Fisher-Harris. I think he's one of the best forward leaders in the game. So now that they've got it, like they've got that one too, right? Like they've got Tohu and then they've got James and then they work really well together. And yeah, it's going to be pretty game-changing for them. I'm pretty excited to see how their game plans change next year as well with James at the club. A lot of it at the moment when their big prop, their play one prop is Adam. He's a try scorer. He's pretty flashy. He's got a bit of probably better footwork than James Fisher-Harris. But Fisher will bring in a different sort of thing, and I'm really excited to see how they sort of change their game. Does that alleviate Tohu to become more of a ball player than he already is? Does that, do they play middle third a little bit differently because they've got James Fisher-Harris and they can't just, have Wade Egan do something and do a short pass onto Adam Fanua-Blake to score the try? What happens there? It's going to be really interesting to see. But look, we've done plenty on the signings of certain clubs, but we should probably talk about the opposite, which is the removal of someone from a club, and that's Jason Demetrio from South Sydney, who's It's come out today that he's left, or came out last night actually, and then the fallout of that. Where to south for South from here? Do you think it makes a change this year? Do you think it? What do Souths do for the rest of 2024?
I don't see. I don't know enough. Sorry, and I'm saying
Yep.
this just so that
Yeah,
there's
no, we don't talk shit here. I
yeah,
mean, we talk
yeah,
shit, but sometimes
yeah,
we do
yeah.
ourselves.
I don't know enough. I mean, I feel for JD, and I hopefully this is a big learning opportunity for JD. I don't know whether it is his fault or whether it's a combination of his way of coaching and recruitment, or also just the whole board of the bunnies. And this is, yeah, like I said, it's a big wake up call for him, but it's another one for bunnies, sorry, to now appoint someone in that role and prove that it was JD that was the issue, and they don't have something internal that's a bigger problem.
Cool, yeah. And just on that though, before we keep going, I want to sort of show a clip from today's press conference and speak to that. So we'll just play this, and then we'll get going.
I think over time at this club, we've been pretty strong in that the coach has an influence over recruitment and retention, but they don't have the final say. And that between Mark, myself, the head coach, and Peter, our CFO, we sit together and work out which sort of player we want to target. So the head coach will be signed after we've signed Lewis, and if they're not comfortable with...
Yeah, so what was said there that I want to speak to is there's a 4-man panel that decides on recruitment, which isn't unheard of. Most clubs now have a panel that do that, but the fact that he said the coach doesn't have final say is what I want to speak to, because we just spoke about the Tigers' recruitment and retention, and if we go back to that podcast Shane Richardson did with James Graham, he comes out and says, we won't want somebody, but Benji gets final veto. If Benji doesn't want the player doesn't come. If Benji doesn't want the move to happen, it doesn't happen, right? That's not to say Benji gets every player he wants, because then what's the point of the panel if the coach gets to say no and yes to everyone, right?
Yeah.
But he gets final say. If he doesn't want a player, he doesn't think he's going to fit his coaching style, the coach who is there day in, day out with the players on the field, he can say no. The South CEO has just come out and said, our coach doesn't have final say. And it's not wrong for a sporting team to run that way. But I think it's wrong for Souths to run that way, and I think it's wrong for almost every NRL club to run that way. Because it's a different sort of sport. We're not as big as other teams where, I'm sure in the NFL there's hundreds of players in that first string side. The coach physically can't have final say and still have the same quality and into that decision, right? So you do need to divvy it up. With 30 players, bruh, the coach should have final say, right? Like, if he doesn't want somebody, the committee can't force that onto him. And I think that is something that I've been saying for weeks after people have been writing JD. I've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks. I don't think JD is the cause of the issue. Obviously, recruitment isn't the only issue at Souths, but I think that is a contributing factor, and that little clip there tells me everything I need to know. Given JD's pedigree, given his history, I think that little clip there says, well, he's trying to make the best of a bad situation, and until Souths realise that you don't have to give the head coach every player they want, but if they don't want a player, you should not be forcing that player onto them. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or if you just like to move on. I just wanted to get that out there.
No, I don't have anything else to add on to that.
Yeah, it irked me, and when I saw it, I was like, bang, there it is. That's one of the biggest moves. For JD, I'm not worried about him in terms of his future. I think he's a great coach. I think he's going to find another gig eventually. Obviously, short term and the sort of pressure side of things, just being fired from a high profile public job. Thoughts go out to him. I've always been pretty vocal on my support for JD. We'll see how that turns out. It's coming good with Seabold. let's see if it comes good with JD as well. But hopefully it's onwards to greener pastures for him. And I think if I'm JD, I'd even go, hey, Shane Richard, do you want me to be Benji's assistant while I think about what I'm going to do next? I think the Tigers are in a really good space at the moment in terms of the environment and culture they're trying to create. It's obviously going to be hard because they're changing from a bad culture, and that's probably still around a little bit, but they're trending in the right direction, and I think that could be a really good way for the Tigers to get something and for JD to get something. If I'm the Tigers, I'm saying, hey, JD, come in now. Like, just come. You, John Morris, Benji, let's go make the finals. That just would be my little thing. But yeah, look, it's tough for JD, but he'll bounce back. Before we do our tips, I think we should do a retrospective on some bigger tips that we made in the start of the year. And that was our predictions for the season and where those teams are sort of landing at the minute for that. So let me just get the current ladder up. Let me just get our ladders up for the end of the season, what it's going to look like, and then we'll compare the pair. Now,
can you send me that over as well?
Yeah. Do you not have the docs for the podcast?
I do, if I find it. I just was being lazy.
H&SPoddy at Outlook is the one. I'll send you the link though. Give me a sec. But I'll read through the first one just so there's no dead air while we get it up for you. We have the Panthers finishing first. They are currently sitting in third position. I'm not unhappy with that prediction. Is there any changes you would make? Do you still think Penrith are going to win the minor premiership, or
no changes there?
No. Cool. Yeah, You're an editor on the thing, so your henrydavyt@gmail.com should work to find that doc for you.
Yep.
In terms of changes, do I have any? Not really. I'm worried about the bye rounds and about some hamstring injuries, but that's about it. Second place, I had the Roosters. You had the Broncos. Stop clicking, Henry. It's annoying on the recording. Second place, you had the Broncos. I had the Roosters. I want to change that, and I'm going to change that, so I'm going to click, but it's not as annoying on the recording because there's no bright purple Henry Davey and then where your cursor is. So, yeah, I for the Roosters, it looks shit. I think they'll come good. I think they'll be a strong force in finals, but I don't think they're going to win enough games to be second overall. Are you comfortable picking the Broncos?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Easily.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to bump everyone up. So I had the Broncos third. I'll move them to second, and then I'll just go the Storm into third. So you already know who I had third and fourth in the preseason, Broncos and Storm. You had the Roosters and the Warriors. How are you feeling there?
I don't think Warriors is a top 4 team at the moment. And I don't think Roosters are a top 4 team at the moment. And I don't think they will be at the end of the season as well. I don't think they will. I think they'll both end strong, but don't think it will take them to the top 4 finish at least.
Mm-hmm. Who do you have third then? Who's your new prediction now that you've seen a few rounds of footy? Who's the new team that's going to come in at third?
Third would definitely be Storm for me.
Storm. And then fourth?
I hate to say it, I really do. Sharks.
Sharkies.
Really hate to say it. I could even say Seagulls, but I think Sharkies are just showing a bit more dominance at the moment.
Yeah, and given that I've had to move 2 teams up to replace the Roosters, that means my 4th spot is open, and I'm actually going to put the Sharks in there as well. I don't think they're going to be the 4th best team in the comp, but I think they're going to win enough games during the regular season to land 4th. I think they'll get some top 8 wins this year as well. Obviously, with the Braden Trindle drama, it's a bit of a question mark, but I think for now that's the prediction you need to make. At 5th, you had the Storm, who you've now moved to 3rd, so you'll need to put a prediction in for there. And at 6th, you had Eels. At fifth, I had the Warriors and I had the Knights.
Yeah, mine would be fifth as Warriors,
Warriors.
sixth as Roosters.
Sixth, Roosters. Very nice. And in terms of the current ladder, Roosters are seventh, Warriors are 12th. So it's a bit of a moving season for this. So we're we were in the ballpark for some teams. For others, cough the Eels. We were very, very, very far off. But I was further off with
the Knights.
Yeah, mate. I was a lot further off with one of my teams that we'll get to. Who did you have at sixth again? Sorry, Sea Eagles.
So I'd put Sea Eagles there, six, yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, yeah. Look, I'm actually going to put the Sea Eagles as fifth. Actually, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Origin. I'm going to leave the Warriors there because of Origin. And I'm going to put the Sea Eagles sixth. So I've taken the Knights out. I've dumped the Knights out. They're not sixth place material. But you had the Knights at 7 and the Cowboys at 8. How do you feel about that now?
Oh, I should have expected the Knights being the Knights, to be honest. Just like the Eels, I think Knights and Eels are just on the same playing field at the moment. And you know what? The Cowboys are also that same playing field, to be honest. I think Cowboys were pretending at the start of this season. They had a somewhat of a strong start, but they've just fallen off the cliff. And you know what? I just want to elaborate on that really quickly. I think James Fisher-Harris going to Cowboys would have been massive. I think it fixes up a lot of their problems. I just wanted to put that in there. I think there's a lot of youngsters in there, and they need someone like that to help bolster up their leadership a little bit more, because Taumalolo seems to have dropped off a little bit. But anyways, back to the predictions. Seventh place for me would be the Roosters. I think that's where I would have made some changes.
Mm-hmm. It's a good shout. Do you know who you'd put at 8, or would you leave the Cowboys there?
Are you putting Roosters at 7th as well?
No, I messed up. I just noticed. There you
go. Cowboys drop off for me, to be honest, and I would probably put... far out. No, this one's a hard one.
Yeah, it is. Look, I'm not too sure who I would put in that 8th spot. I think you can obviously clearly see, and so can the viewers can see who I've got at 8th, and they're not going to stay there. That's the Rabbitohs. That's a bit of a shocker from me. A bit too much faith in the coach having the power he needs to turn things around. But look, at 8th...
I just want to, for the viewers, because I know they're feeling like they want to dig into you as well. Stop making it like it's like that. I think there's more to it. I think I still fall onto the story about Mansour, and also the other stories of favoritism. Yes, it probably isn't just JD doing the favoritism; it's the whole club. But I think as a coach, you should be able to drive a better culture.
You should be able to. You should be allowed to. But Souths obviously haven't let him, right? So they're like, what does he do? Does he drop Cody? Does he drop Latrell Mitchell? Does he drop these players who are getting special treatment?
Who knows?
Does he leave $4 million on the sideline? Like, he has to be. He's there. He doesn't have control over recruitment. He's got to get the best out of. He's got to make a stone bleed, right? He's got to get water from a rock. He's got to do what he's got to do.
The thing is, right? No one's told him to have Latrell at fullback performing the way Latrell was playing. That's what I'm saying.
The recruiters have. That's but I'm saying, like, you move Latrell to centre, that he might get demotivated and stop playing. Period.
Well, he's he looks demotivated in the fullback position anyway.
But at least he's there, and he's on $1 million, and the recruiters are giving him to
you. Have him at centre. At least that's not a bigger pivotal position.
But what if Latrell says, "No, I don't want to play centre. I'm going to Tari."
Then clearly he's not playing within his contract. His contract gets cancelled.
But the recruiters are probably going to be like, "Nah, you got to keep him. We're not going to cancel his contract."
I honestly doubt that's the case.
It might not be, but that's what I'm trying to say. We don't know, and it's come out now that he doesn't have control over recruitment, and there's only so much you can do as a head coach. Like, who does better in that position? Probably no one. Like, they went out and signed Jack Whiten. That makes no sense. You think I doubt JD was pushing for Jack Whiten to come to the club. All due respect to Jack, I think he's a great player. He's not what they needed. They needed a middle. But instead, they gave Latrell's brother a contract. Like, anyway, Souths drop out of my 8. I don't know who I'd put there. I really want to put the Cowboys there. And it's just I don't know who else to like. There are teams playing way better than the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to come good because they've been struggling with some injuries. So I'm going to put the Cowboys at 8. Which kind of means I have to put the Roosters at 7, which kind of sucks. But I guess the Roosters go to 7. So you're going to leave the Cowboys at 8.
Parramatta there.
Parramatta at 8.
No.
No,
It would be the Cowboys. Sorry.
Cowboys, cool.
I mean, it's either Cowboys or Raiders. I can't decide right now because Raiders have now fallen off. That their depth is now being tested.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Jamal injury, I'd actually have the Raiders at 7 and then bump the Roosters down to 8, and I would have been a lot more comfortable with that. But given the injury to Jamal, I think they're going to struggle.
Yep.
So number 9, you've got the Rabbits. Probably want to put them up to first, and then the Dolphins and Sharks at 10 and 11. I've got the Eels, Sharks, and Dolphins. Obviously, I've already moved Cronulla. I will also be moving Parramatta lower down, and the Dolphins I think might actually get a bump up to 10 for me. So we'll replace the large marine animal with another one. Oh, what did I just do? There we go. So Dolphins coming in at 10 for me. And don't worry, listeners, I know this is a bit convoluted. We'll go through our final rankings at the end once we have it all. As you can tell, we haven't had the time to prepare something, and I think the discussion is good as well, having it live on air instead of just like bang, 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 this is who we have, and these are the 3 dot points we wrote out for each decision. I think seeing the cogs turn live on air is actually, gives a different perspective. Number 9, I have no idea who I'm going to put at number 9. Zero clue.
I got the... Well, yeah, that's... Oh, yeah. This is making it difficult.
Very difficult.
I actually think... Oh, wow, this is difficult.
Very difficult. Like, who's going to miss out on that?
I'm saying, you know what? This is probably a tough one, but I'm saying Dragons come up at 9 for me, and 10 is Dolphins. I think that's, to me, Dragons, yes, they've had, especially last week, is a very poor performance, but they've had strong performances. I think if Flano can get them to just build a little bit more consistent game. Oh, I guess consistent performance. Sorry, not just consistent games, but consistent performance from the team. They're easily, to me, a top 8 team. I'd say they blow Cowboys out of the water. They should have beaten Roosters last week. They should have beaten
the Roosters. Yeah, I know they got flogged, but
yeah, they should have beaten Roosters last week. To me, they're a top 8 team without a doubt. But they've just had glimpses, like moments like that, where it's just like, I don't know. So I'd put them at 9, and I think they're well deserved at 9 with the way they're performing at the moment. Yeah, besides the inconsistencies,
I'm going a similar route. I just think this team is trending upwards, whereas like the Dragons are up, down, up, down, up, down. I think the Tigers, it's not a linear trend upwards, but it definitely is like they're getting better and better and better and better as the season goes on. I think they've got more room to improve. So I've actually got the Tigers finishing at 9. And look, maybe I just want to meme it up a little bit because I've got no idea who else to put. So I might as well have the Tigers finishing 9th joke come into play, right?
Yep.
Maybe that's part of it. Maybe. Who's to say? I'm to say, and I'm saying yes. That's also part of the reason. But they're trending upwards. We're going to see Galvin hopefully get better. We're going to see Buller hopefully come into his own. Appy again is doing Appy things. So Stefano trying to push for Origin, and hopefully he keeps that up. All these little things, hopefully they add up and they keep trending upwards. I have the Dolphins at 10. The biggest concern around the Dolphins for me was their depth. They've been tested. They've been really tested, and they've come away with a win against who did they beat with no one in Darwin? Remind me.
Anyways, my 10 is Dolphins as well.
Yeah, that was Para that they beat. So my 10 is Dolphins. I think by the next time we do this, they will be in my 8. Because they'll be getting some players back and hopefully getting a few wins on the board as well. In terms of the rest of the ladder, I had the Dolphins at 12, the Dolphins at 11, Manly at 12, and the Raiders at 13. I think all of them were wrong. So Dolphins only slightly. I think I was wrong on their depth side of things. They're handling that okay at the moment. Manly, obviously, I bumped into the 8. And then the Raiders, while I don't have them in the 8, before the Jamal Fogarty injury, I was very wrong about them. So a bit of a hiccup down at the lower end. in terms of who you had, who you have at 11? Sorry.
Of Sharkies.
Yeah, but who's the new 11 for you?
I would put Raiders.
Raiders at 11. Okay. Raiders just copying, not copying me actually, because I don't know who I'm going to put at 11 because I've got the.
Actually, sorry. No, let's. Actually, let's keep it there.
Yeah. I think I might follow you in.
I was thinking about
Bulldogs.
potentially the Bulldogs being there because the Bulldogs have been performing, and it just sounded like you thought about Bulldogs just then as well.
Yeah.
You know what? I would say Bulldogs over the Raiders. I think Bulldogs have a bit. It sounds a bit weird, but Bulldogs have a little bit more depth than the Raiders, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the Bulldogs are less reliant on a single player than.
Yep, and similar to what you said with the Bulldogs, with the Tigers, Bulldogs still are. They're trending upwards at the moment. I feel like Raiders just went wham bam, we're up here, and at the moment they're trending downwards, and I don't see them picking that up until Jamal comes back, and
I think
they're relying on that.
Yeah, I think it'll take a few weeks. I think they will start to get wins on the board again. I just think it's going to take a few weeks for them to sort out how they're going to play into transition. I think the coaching staff at the Raiders are pretty good. I have a high opinion of them. I made no secret of that in terms of, Brock Shepherd joining the club, and I'm sure he wouldn't have gone there if it wasn't a good situation. But again, things don't change overnight. So I think they're going to train to a new strategy, to a new game plan until Jamal comes back. They just need to get that instilled, work out exactly what it's going to be with the players they've got, and go from there. But that's enough for them to sort of... that's enough for them to not make the 8, though. I think still those few weeks they're going to spend changing in the NRL, that's a lifetime. So I think they're still not going to be in the 8. But we'll see how it goes. And just for everyone's clarity, these aren't power rankings. These are where we think teams will finish at the end of the season. So that's why we're looking in this sort of depth instead of what we did our power rankings for last week. When we come to 13, I had the Raiders. I have to go through and see who I need to move from the top teams. Do you want to work from the bottom up like we did last time?
Sure.
Yeah. So who do you think is going to get the wooden spoon?
I'd love the Rabbits too. I'd say the Titans.
Titans, yep. And just so we know, I had the Dragons coming last. You had the Tigers. Both not looking likely anymore. I was probably more wrong. I don't know. Well, we're both, I think, equally as wrong there in terms of how much better those teams are performing. I had the Bulldogs at 16th. Probably put Souths there now. I don't know about you.
Souths for me.
Yeah, and you had the Dragons at 16th. I had the Tigers at 15th. Again, I need to change that to who have I not put on the field.
I'd actually maybe even put Knights at 16th, but I'll put them at 15th.
I'm actually going to put the Knights at 13th. Above,
I like being hopeful.
Above where I'm putting Parramatta, which is going to be 14th.
Let me put Knights as wooden spooners and put Parramatta as...
Minor prems, baby, minor prems. That's funny. I need to go through this and see what teams left over and decide how much of a mistake I've made. I have put the Cowboys in. I've put the Warriors in. The Melbourne Storm are in for me. There's a Sydney team I'm missing in that case. Do you know who you're missing? Like, go through your list and tell me who you want to put where. I've got the Raiders at 11 and 12 for you. I don't know what happened there.
How'd you do that?
Yeah, was it the Bulldogs at 12 or the Raiders at 12?
It would be Raiders at 12, Bulldogs at 11. Yeah.
Cool beans. So you've got your 13, your 14, and your 15. As soon as they come to your head, let me know.
13 is Eels.
13 is Eels, nice.
Yeah, 14 is Tigers. And Knights.
Knights at 15. Very nice, very nice. I still haven't worked out who's there. So I've got Penrith at 1, Broncos at 2, Storm at 3, Sharkies at 4, Warriors at 5, Sea Eagles at 6, Roosters at 7, Cowboys at 8, Tigers 9, Dolphins 10, Bulldogs at 11, Raiders at 12, Knights at 13, Eels at 14, South Sydney coming second last, the Titans coming last. What team haven't I said? This is going to do my head in. So I've got the Sharkies there. I've got the Storm. I've got Penrith. I've got Manly. I've got the Broncos. I've got the Finns. I've got the Chookies. Got the Bulldogs. Got the Cowboys. Got the Raiders. This is great listening, isn't it, boys? This is great listening. Everyone's probably yelling at the screen. This is who you're missing. Got the Raiders. Dragons. So have I put the Dragons somewhere?
No, you haven't put the
I haven't
Finns somewhere.
Oh,
You have put the Finns. No, you have. You haven't put the Dragons.
Yeah,
That's right.
Dragons. Oh, sorry, Parramatta. You're getting bumped to third last. Eat it.
Imagine putting Knights above us. Putting Knights above us.
Bro.
It's an absolute
Mate, we're
joke.
going to kill it. Davey, was it Armstrong? He's going to kill it. D. Armstrong, mate. D. Armstrong. You heard it here first. That was a weird...
Strong. Yeah.
Look, in terms of your list, Penrith, Broncos, Storm, Sharks, Warriors, Seagulls, Roosters, Dragons, Dolphins, Bulldogs, Raiders, Eels, Tigers, Knights, Souths, Titans. We just went through mine. We don't need to go through it again. I think a fair few changes there. A lot of teams in the vicinity, but a lot of teams way off. It just goes to show how different things can be. If we were doing weekly power rankings, my power rankings would be so different this week as well. After some of the results last week that came through, namely, the big drubbing that the Dragons got. But look, when we look at last week's results, we can only look at our tips, and I got 6 out of 8. I don't know what you got, but do you want to let me know, Henry? You don't want to let me know? Let's pull it up then. I'll go to the Parramatta Seals. Henry Davey. He's on 33. Let's look at his round 8 performance. Hey, he got 5. Good job. You only one less than me this time. Equal with your sister. Oh, sorry. And equal with you. No, you got 4. You suck. You suck. Beaten by your partner and your sister. Terrible, Henry. Sort it out. Let's look at the ranking for the entire competition. Molly in the doldrums. You tied with Viv. Absolutely pathetic, Henry. You got to step it up. I'm 9 points ahead.
This is not fun. This is
very fun. I love this segment. Let's stop doing quick tips. Stop the quick tips and let's start spending 3 hours on it.
Your problem is you don't tip the Knights every week. So
I do tip the Knights every week.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. Stop trying to make excuses for yourself. You just suck.
Okay,
I would be getting like 7s and 8s if I didn't have to tip the Knights every week. But anyway. This is your segment. I don't know why it's your segment, given you're coming last, but it is yours. So, take it away.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about the tears coming down your face.
Thursday night, we've got the Rabbits home ground. Rabbits versus the Panthers. Who are you going for?
I'm going for Penrith. New coach, season over.
Going Penrith. The JD out. Okay, Friday night, first game, 6 o'clock. You got Seagulls home ground against the Raiders.
Yep. I'm going Manly. Just to pause it there. That's why we're still recording, actually. I think you're the only person who doesn't know the first team is the home team, so you don't need to say home ground. Just say the first team,
okay.
And people will know. Yeah.
Yeah, but are you showing your screen?
Yeah, I'm showing my screen as well. But
okay,
it's pretty common where the first team listed is the home ground. Just for people who don't know, Henry had to ask that at the start of the season. Who's the home team?
Sorry, guys, sports rookie. Even though I watch a lot of sport, I'm going Seagulls as well. You're going to Seagulls home ground. I think they've just been on
Seagulls turbo.
All right.
Think all three are playing. That doesn't make sense.
You love turbo. We get it. Next one, Broncos, Roosters. Why did I say? I was about to say Raiders. Broncos, Roosters.
Look, I will be going the Broncos. Returning players.
I'm going Broncos. They're flying at the moment. Next one, you got the West Tigers and the Bulldogs. This is going to be an interesting game, okay? This is a very interesting game, and it's one that I'm looking forward to. So, how you feeling?
Yeah, this is a tough one. When in doubt, go the home team. The Bulldogs.
Ooh. I'm going This is a tough one for me, but I'm going Bulldogs. They've just had such a strong start.
Okay, can I change my tip? Is that allowed? I'm going to change my tip. Tigers, tip the opposite of Henry.
Oh no, okay. We've got next game. Titans versus the Storm. This is a tricky one. It's gonna be a hard one.
Hey, we made the same joke last week. Storm are going to win.
Oh, why? Why?
Lightning doesn't strike twice.
Oh, that's a good one. I actually really like that
Yeah,
one.
mate. Yeah, mate. Levels to that one.
Yeah, that was levels to that one. I'm going Storm. Defense wins games. Cowboys, Dolphins.
Cowboys, home team split.
I'm going Cowboys, the comeback.
I'm going for Newcastle. Oh, sorry. I should let you. Yeah.
Let's just wait, settle down, mate. We've got Knights and the Warriors.
Yep. In case I'm going for the Knights, and just for anyone who wasn't aware, it's because I always tip the Knights.
Yeah, you get it. You like losing. Okay, we're going Warriors. They've got a lot.
Team won last week.
We got Warriors. They've got a lot to prove. Sharks and Dragons is the last game on Sunday.
Dragons, because I want a bigger storyline to Shane Flanagan's press conference.
Yeah, that was. Hey, actually. Anyways, I like that press conference. I'm going Sharkies. They've just got a lot more consistency.
Yeah. Look. I mean, the smart tip is Cronulla, but now that the quick tips are over, we'll elaborate. It's like, yeah, for those of you who don't know, Shane Flanagan made a few jokes in the press conference. Most people tend to think that it's just to take the heat off his team getting flogged. It's still funny to me, and I think it'll continue to be funny if the Dragons win that game. So I just want that to continue.
And that's what you need as a coach, by the way. There have been some downtime, I guess, or not downtime, but the performance of Dragons in some situations hasn't been great. But I like the way that Flanagan is able to steer the media in a certain way to, yeah, you're right. Having that joke there to take that heat away from their team is what is needed so that the team can focus on their game and not focus on the outside noise. And it allows him to just work on the team more so than having to work with what the media is trying to stir up. Right?
Yeah, and it's also not that deep, right? Like, he made a few jokes. Ben Hunt was laughing. I'm sure he left on good terms. It's not like he got fired. The Sharks had to get rid of him. So I'm sure it's all just banter. It was a good press conference. I want more of it, more personality. Been pretty consistent on that front for me. So, no, it was a really good really good press conference. I was about to say it was a really good podcast, but that would be something that we've said about this podcast, the H&S podcast, which is coming to a conclusion for the round 9 preview. I don't know about you, but is there anything you'd like to add before we leave?
Yes, Parramatta's going to get 2 points. What a week.
Oh, yeah.
I feel happy. It's
Actually, there's a
good
bit
week
of news. Clint Gutherson, 4 to 5 weeks. Do you know who you would like to replace him at fullback?
I'm going Blaze.
Going Blaze?
I mean, who's sorry,
Zach Cheney is your New South Wales Cup fullback, and apparently he's been playing pretty well.
Oh, well, then I'd love to see him at the fullback. Zach Cheney.
Yeah.
I've seen this bloke before.
Yeah, he was at the Tigers before playing centre.
That's why I've seen him before.
Yeah, he's
probably.
Sorry.
Keep going.
Nah, yeah, he's It's hard to sort of predict who should be taking over now that New South Wales Rugby League has put a paywall up in front of the games. Back when they used to be live streamed for free on like Facebook or whatever, I used to watch a lot of it. It's hard to say now, but I've been told by people who his opinions I have some sort of trust in, that Cheney's been killing it, and that's where I'd go. I'm not saying this person has said who they would pick at fullback. I'm just saying that they said Cheney's been playing well for a few weeks, as well as other players. So, just trying to stay politically correct there, not get anyone in trouble. But yeah, I'd pick Zach Cheney. I'm not sure how to say that. Sorry.
Yeah, no. If I had to pick someone, I'd still pick Blaze only because he's been in the team. We don't need another rookie to come in with the state of the team at the moment. I think
I
we need.
challenge that because Zach isn't a rookie. Zach is
True.
fairly
I mean,
old.
when
He's 24 years old.
Yeah, when I say rookie,
23.
I mean more so just playing with the team.
Yeah.
You've got Blaze who already understands the team a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not. I don't really care, to be honest. I just want to see someone own that position while Gutherson's away. He's been a big part of our fullback and, been part of our big defensive issues and being the one that's trying to plug in those gaps. So we need someone that can defend there in the back line. And maybe it isn't Blaze, because I'm saying that now, and then I've been bagging out Blaze for not having any kind of defensive effort. Well, not defensive effort, just
he's
not
just
having
young.
that
He's
ability.
just real young, man. Like, it's hard to play NRL. It's hard. It's not easy. When we criticize these players, it's not. We fully acknowledge that it's first grade, but if you're there, you get judged based on first grade standards. But it's a high standard. It's a very high standard. It's very tough. It's not for everyone. And it probably will be for Blaze at some point. It just at the moment doesn't look like he's there yet. But no, I shudder to think what you guys are going to look like without Gutho and without Moses. It's going to be scary.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I don't even want to think about it. I think I'm taking a 4-week break from the NRL.
Yeah, and you got the Broncos. At least it's at home. Anyway,
jeez.
enough waffle.
Anyways,
thank you for listening. I've been Shaun. So will you come in, Henry?
I didn't even hear what you said, mate.
Oh, thank you for listening. I've been Shaun. See you next week.
I've been Shaun. Is that what you're saying? I don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway. Yes.
Sorry, guys. There's a bit of... Thanks, guys.
Technical difficulty. Bye. Thank you. Bye.